Welcome, and thank you for being here. You're listening to History for Sleep, a place where the past is told gently, carefully, and without hurry. If you enjoy calm storytelling, forgotten knowledge, and long journeys through human history, you're in the right place. If you find yourself returning, consider subscribing, liking the video, or sharing it with someone who enjoys drifting off to history the same way you do. Now settle in, slow your breathing just a little, and let tonight's story unfold. Tonight, we're exploring something deeply human, something intimate, and something almost entirely lost. The forgotten flavors of extinct civilizations. Not their wars, not their kings, not their monuments of stone, but their meals. The scents that once filled ancient kitchens. The tastes that lingered on the tongues of people whose names we will never know. The foods that marked seasons, rituals, celebrations, and survival itself. Because before history was written, it was eaten. Every civilization that ever lived developed a cuisine shaped by its land, its beliefs, and its understanding of the world. And when those civilizations vanished, their recipes did not vanish cleanly. They fragmented. They faded. They were misremembered, mistranslated, or absorbed into new cultures until the originals became unrecognizable. What we are left with are clues. Charred grains buried in ash. Residue inside cracked pottery. References carved into stone that describe tastes we can no longer imagine clearly. And yet, through archaeology, chemistry, anthropology, and a little speculation, we can begin to reconstruct the culinary worlds of civilizations that no longer exist. Civilizations that cooked with ingredients we no longer grow. Civilizations that prepared foods for gods we no longer worship. Civilizations whose entire relationship with flavor was different from our own. To understand these forgotten flavors, we must begin where food always begins, with survival. The earliest extinct civilizations did not cook for pleasure alone. They cooked to live. Climate dictated cuisine. Geography decided what was sacred and what was scarce. In regions where meat was rare, plants became holy. In places where grain was abundant, bread became civilization itself. Take the Sumerians, one of the earliest known complex civilizations. They lived between rivers where fertile soil allowed barley to thrive. Barley was not just food. It was currency. It was medicine. It was used to pay workers, feed animals, brew beer, and honor the gods. Yes, beer. The Sumerians brewed dozens of varieties of beer, thick and cloudy by modern standards, often consumed through straws to avoid the sediment. These beers were flavored with herbs, dates, honey, and possibly spices now extinct or unidentifiable. Some historians believe beer was safer to drink than water, and therefore consumed daily by adults and children alike. But here's the mystery. Despite thousands of cuneiform tablets referencing food and drink, no complete Sumerian recipe has ever been found. We know the ingredients, we know the tools, but the exact techniques are lost. Did they ferment longer? Did they roast grains differently? Did their barley taste unlike anything we grow today? Barley itself has changed. Selective breeding over thousands of years has altered its protein content, sweetness, and texture. Even if we followed a Sumerian ingredient list perfectly, the flavor would never be the same. And this is a recurring truth. Many extinct civilizations relied on plants that no longer exist in their original form. The ancient Egyptians, for example, cultivated varieties of wheat and emmer that modern agriculture has nearly erased. Their bread was dense, gritty, and often mixed with sand from stone grinding tools. To us, it might taste unpleasant. To them, it was life. Egyptian cuisine revolved around balance. Bread, beer, onions, garlic, lentils, fish, dates, figs, and honey formed the foundation of daily meals. Meat was rare for common people, reserved mostly for festivals and religious offerings. But Egyptian food was also symbolic. Certain foods were eaten to honor specific gods. Others were forbidden entirely. Some animals were sacred in one region and dinner in another. And spices, particularly those imported from distant lands, were associated with power and divinity. Cinnamon, for instance, appears in Egyptian records long before anyone understood where it came from. It was so rare and valuable that some believed it grew in secret valleys guarded by monstrous birds. Where did it really come from? How was it used in cooking beyond ritual and embalming? We don't fully know. Residue analysis suggests it may have been used sparingly in elite dishes, possibly combined with fats and honey to create early forms of sweet pastes. But the exact flavor combinations are lost. Then there are the civilizations whose cuisines vanished almost completely. The Indus Valley Civilization left behind cities with advanced drainage systems, standardized brickwork, and evidence of organized urban life. Yet their language remains undeciphered, and their food culture is largely silent. We find cooking vessels. We find grain storage. We find animal bones. But no recipes, no written descriptions of meals, no stories of feasts or famines. What we can infer suggests a diet of wheat, barley, rice, lentils, sesame, dairy, and fish. Spices like turmeric and ginger may have been used, but how they were combined is a mystery. Some researchers believe their cuisine was surprisingly complex, involving fermentation and layered flavors. Others think it was simple and utilitarian. Without words, flavor becomes speculation. And sometimes speculation leads to conspiracy. There are theories that certain extinct civilizations possessed culinary knowledge that was deliberately erased. That food preparation methods tied to spiritual practices were suppressed when religions changed or empires fell. In Mesoamerica, the Maya and other civilizations revered cacao not as candy, but as a bitter, spiced ceremonial drink. Cacao was mixed with chili, maize, and herbs. It was consumed cold, frothy, and often reserved for elites or ritual use. When European colonizers encountered cacao, they rejected its bitterness and transformed it with sugar and milk. The original flavor profile, intensely bitter and complex, nearly disappeared. Some historians argue that this transformation erased not just a recipe but a worldview. Because for the Maya, cacao was not indulgence. It was connection to gods, ancestors, and cycles of time. And this raises an unsettling question. How many ancient flavors were altered not by time, but by force? As civilizations collapsed through conquest, disease, or cultural assimilation, their foodways were often replaced intentionally. Crops were destroyed, techniques discouraged, native ingredients labeled primitive or dangerous. In some cases, entire ecosystems changed. The Roman Empire, for example, consumed exotic ingredients at an enormous scale. Silphium, a plant native to North Africa, was used as a spice, medicine, and contraceptive. It was so valuable it appeared on coins. And then it vanished. Overharvesting, climate change, and agricultural pressure likely drove silphium to extinction. No living person knows its true flavor. Ancient writers described it as pungent, savory, and irreplaceable. Some believe modern asafoetida resembles it. Others argue it was entirely unique. Silphium may be the most famous lost flavor in history. And it is not alone. As we move forward tonight, we'll explore civilizations whose culinary secrets are only beginning to be rediscovered. We'll talk about experimental archaeologists trying to recreate ancient meals, about chemical signatures trapped in clay, about theories suggesting certain flavors influenced migration, religion, and even war. We'll ask why food mattered so deeply that people carried seeds across oceans, why certain tastes were worth dying for, and whether it's possible that some ancient flavors were not just food, but knowledge. For now, let your thoughts slow. Imagine a fire burning low in an ancient home, a pot simmering with ingredients you don't recognize, a scent rising that no longer exists anywhere on Earth. And remember, every civilization is remembered by what it built, but it lived by what it ate. The fire crackles softly, not loudly, not urgently, but with the steady patience of something that has burned this way every night for generations. Around it, people move slowly, deliberately. Cooking in ancient civilizations was rarely rushed. Meals were events shaped by daylight, weather, and ritual. And as we continue tonight, we move deeper into those vanished kitchens, into flavors that no longer exist, and into the quiet questions they leave behind. One of the greatest challenges in understanding extinct cuisines is that taste does not fossilize. Stone survives. Bone survives. Words sometimes survive. But flavor lives only in the moment it is experienced. When a civilization disappears, its taste memory vanishes with it. Archaeologists must become detectives of absence. They scrape the insides of pottery, searching for microscopic traces of fats, oils, and plant compounds. They examine teeth for patterns of wear that suggest gritty bread or soft porridge. They analyze pollen trapped in sediment to identify plants that once grew nearby. From these fragments, entire culinary systems are slowly, carefully inferred. Consider the ancient Hittites, a powerful Bronze Age civilization that rivaled Egypt. Their archives contain thousands of clay tablets detailing laws, treaties, and rituals. And tucked among them are lists of foods used in offerings to the gods. Bread upon bread. Stews thickened with grains. Meats boiled, roasted, or dried. But these were not simple meals. The Hittites believed the gods ate alongside humans. Food offerings were carefully prepared to please divine tastes. Certain breads were shaped in symbolic forms. Certain ingredients were combined only during specific festivals. What did the gods prefer? We don't know. But the care invested suggests flavors mattered deeply. Taste was not indulgence. It was communication. In many extinct civilizations, food was a language. Among the ancient Mesopotamians, meals were structured around cosmic order. Balance between sweet, sour, salty, and bitter mirrored balance between heaven and earth. Some scholars argue this early pursuit of balance influenced later culinary philosophies, including those found in traditional medicine. And then there are civilizations where food was inseparable from identity. The Phoenicians, master sailors of the ancient Mediterranean, carried not only goods across the sea but flavors. Olive oil, wine, preserved fish, and spices moved with them from port to port. Their cuisine adapted constantly, absorbing local ingredients while preserving core techniques. But the Phoenicians left little writing behind. Their culinary legacy survives indirectly, embedded in the cuisines of cultures that absorbed them. This raises an important question. When does a flavor truly go extinct? If an ingredient survives but the meaning behind it is lost, is the flavor still alive? Take garum, the fermented fish sauce beloved by the Romans. Made from fish entrails layered with salt and left to ferment in the sun, garum was pungent, powerful, and expensive. It flavored nearly every Roman dish. When the Roman Empire collapsed, garum production declined and eventually disappeared from Europe. For centuries, the flavor vanished. And yet, similar sauces exist today. Fish sauce in Southeast Asia. Anchovy pastes in parts of the Mediterranean. Are these descendants of garum or separate inventions? Some argue garum never truly died. Others insist the specific Roman flavor, tied to local fish species and fermentation conditions, is gone forever. This debate highlights something important. Flavor is not just ingredients. It is environment. It is technique. It is culture. Change any one of these and the taste shifts. Nowhere is this clearer than in civilizations shaped by extreme environments. In the Andes, ancient cultures like the Moche and later the Inca developed sophisticated food preservation techniques to survive harsh conditions. Freeze-drying potatoes into chuno allowed them to store food for years. These potatoes were trampled, frozen, dried, and rehydrated, creating flavors unlike fresh potatoes. Chuno still exists today, but ancient varieties of potatoes used in the process no longer do. The original taste is gone. And some foods were tied directly to spiritual belief. In ancient China, certain grains were associated with immortality. Elixirs were brewed using herbs, minerals, and fermented products believed to extend life. Some of these mixtures were toxic. Others may have produced altered states of consciousness. There are theories that certain extinct cuisines were designed not just to nourish the body, but to affect the mind. Fermentation in particular played a powerful role. Alcoholic drinks existed in nearly every ancient civilization. But alcohol was not always recreational. It was medicinal, ritualistic, sacred. In ancient China, rice wine was offered to ancestors. In the Americas, maize beer was consumed during ceremonies that reinforced social bonds. In Africa, fermented beverages marked transitions from childhood to adulthood. The exact flavor profiles of these drinks depended on wild yeasts, local microbes, and traditional vessels. Modern recreations can only approximate them. Some researchers believe ancient people experienced flavors more intensely than we do today. Their diets were not dulled by sugar overload or artificial additives. Bitterness, sourness, and earthiness were embraced. This leads to a fascinating theory: that ancient cuisines trained the palate differently. That flavor was not about pleasure alone, but awareness. Food taught people how to perceive the world. And when civilizations vanished, so did those ways of tasting. There are also darker theories. Some suggest that certain ancient foods were deliberately suppressed because they were tied to forbidden knowledge. Plants associated with altered states. Brews used in initiation rites. Ingredients believed to connect humans to gods or ancestors. When new religions rose, these foods were labeled dangerous or heretical. Evidence for this is fragmentary but intriguing. In ancient Greece, the Eleusinian mysteries involved a sacred drink called kykeon. Participants reported profound visions and a loss of fear of death. The ingredients are still debated. Some believe it contains psychoactive compounds derived from ergot-infected grain. When the mysteries ended, the recipe disappeared. If true, this would mean one of the most influential spiritual experiences in the ancient world depended on a flavor we no longer know. And this pattern repeats across continents, across millennia. Food is knowledge. Food is power. Food is something worth erasing. Yet not all lost flavors are tied to mystery or suppression. Many simply vanished through ecological change. Climate shifts altered rainfall. Forests disappeared. Rivers changed course. Crops failed. Animals went extinct. The people adapted or they didn't. The Norse settlements in Greenland offer a quiet example. They brought European farming techniques to an unforgiving environment. Their diet relied heavily on livestock. When the climate cooled, grazing became difficult. Indigenous Inuit diets, rich in marine life, sustained them. The Norse did not adapt. Their food culture remained rigid, and it disappeared with them. What meals did they eat in their final years? Did flavors remind them of home? Did they cling to familiar tastes even as survival demanded change? We will never know. As we move further tonight, we'll explore attempts to resurrect extinct flavors. Modern chefs collaborating with archaeologists, laboratories recreating ancient fermentation, fields planted with heirloom grains. We'll ask whether revival is possible, or whether we are only creating new interpretations, and we'll reflect on what it means to lose a flavor forever. For now, breathe slowly. Imagine hands grinding grain on stone. The sound steady, rhythmic. A scent rising that belongs to a world long gone. And remember, every extinct civilization left behind ruins, but their kitchens, their flavors, those vanished quietly. Time passes differently in ancient kitchens. There were no clocks ticking on walls, no timers counting down seconds. Cooking moved with the sun, with the seasons, with the rhythm of labor and rest. As we continue, we step deeper into the slow, deliberate world where extinct civilizations shaped their flavors over generations, and where a single meal carried meanings we are only beginning to understand. One of the most revealing windows into lost cuisines comes from refuse. Ancient trash heaps, known as middens, preserve the everyday foods people actually ate, not just the ceremonial meals recorded in texts. In these quiet accumulations of shells, bones, seeds, and broken pottery, archaeologists find patterns of taste that feel surprisingly intimate. From these remains, we learn that many extinct civilizations ate far more diverse diets than we once assumed. The ancient inhabitants of the Fertile Crescent, for instance, consumed dozens of plant species that no longer appear in modern agriculture. Wild legumes, leafy greens, and herbs that thrived before intensive farming reshaped the landscape. Some of these plants were likely bitter, medicinal, or mildly toxic if not prepared correctly. Cooking was knowledge. Knowing how to soak, ferment, roast, or grind an ingredient meant the difference between nourishment and danger. These techniques were passed down orally, often through generations of women whose names history never recorded. When those lines of transmission were broken, flavors vanished. In the Americas, civilizations like the Olmec and later the Maya developed complex food systems centered around maize. But maize alone is not sufficient nutrition. It must be treated with an alkaline solution in a process known as nixtamalization, which releases essential nutrients. This process changes flavor and texture. It produces the distinctive aroma of masa, the foundation of countless dishes. When Europeans encountered maize without understanding this technique, they misunderstood its nutritional value. In places where nixtamalization was not adopted, populations suffered deficiencies. This is not just a story of lost flavor. It is a story of lost knowledge, and knowledge embedded in taste. There are extinct cuisines we know almost nothing about. Entire island cultures that disappeared with rising seas. Nomadic groups whose food left no permanent traces. Hunter-gatherer societies whose culinary sophistication was underestimated because it did not resemble agriculture. Some of these groups practiced what anthropologists call landscape cooking, subtly shaping ecosystems over centuries to favor edible plants and animals. Fire was used not just for cooking but for managing growth. Their meals were expressions of an intimate relationship with place. When those people vanished, the land changed, and with it, the flavors. One haunting example comes from ancient Australia. Indigenous food systems there were among the oldest in the world, developed over tens of thousands of years. Many native plants were cultivated through careful land management rather than farming in the European sense. Colonization disrupted these systems. Ingredients disappeared. Techniques were discouraged or outlawed. Entire flavor worlds faded. This raises a difficult question. How many extinct cuisines were not lost naturally but taken? Not forgotten but erased? Food has always been power. Controlling what people eat means controlling how they live. Throughout history, conquering cultures imposed their diets on others. Crops were replaced. Livestock introduced. Indigenous foods labeled inferior. Over time, original flavors became memories, or myths. There are accounts from early explorers describing tastes they could not classify. Fruits described as both sweet and metallic. Meat said to induce vivid dreams. Drinks that caused warmth without intoxication. Were these exaggerations? Or were they experiencing flavors truly unfamiliar to modern palates? Modern science has identified compounds in certain plants that affect perception. Some alter how sweetness is experienced. Others temporarily change taste receptors. Ancient cuisines may have included ingredients that reshaped sensory experience itself. This leads to one of the more speculative theories, that some extinct cuisines were designed to train perception, not just satisfy hunger. Food as education. Food as initiation. If true, then losing these cuisines meant losing entire ways of experiencing reality. There is also the matter of sound and texture. Ancient meals were not silent. Grinding stones, bubbling pots, crackling fires. Texture mattered as much as taste. Chewy grains, gritty breads, fibrous vegetables. Modern food often prioritizes softness and uniformity. Ancient food demanded attention. To chew was to participate. This sensory engagement likely shaped memory. Meals anchored stories, rituals, and identities. And then there is scent. Scent is the most memory-linked sense. Ancient kitchens were filled with aromas from resins, herbs, smoke, and fermentation. Many of these scents came from ingredients no longer used or no longer available. Some resins, like those burned in ancient temples, were harvested from trees that are now rare or extinct. Their aromas are known only from descriptions. Without scent, flavor collapses. What did ancient stews smell like as they simmered all day? What did bread smell like when baked with wild yeast and ancient grains? What did a festival meal smell like as hundreds of dishes cooked at once? These are not trivial questions. They are questions about daily life. As we approach the midpoint of our journey tonight, we begin to see a pattern. Extinct cuisines disappear not because they were inferior, but because they were fragile. Dependent on ecosystems, oral knowledge, cultural continuity. Once disrupted, they cannot be fully reconstructed. Modern attempts to revive ancient flavors are fascinating. Experimental archaeologists recreate clay ovens. Chemists analyze residue. Farmers grow ancient grains. But even with all this, something remains missing. Context. A meal eaten in a laboratory is not the same as a meal eaten after a day of labor, shared with family, under a sky unlit by electricity. Flavor is memory. Flavor is place. Flavor is time. And time cannot be recreated. As night settles over ancient cities, cooking often became slower, quieter. Pots were moved to the edges of fires. Grains soaked overnight. Ferments were checked, adjusted, whispered over like living things. Many extinct civilizations understood fermentation not as a technique, but as a partnership with time. Fermented foods were everywhere. In Mesopotamia, beer was not a luxury. It was daily nourishment. Thick, cloudy, sometimes consumed with straws to avoid floating solids. These beers were flavored with herbs we no longer use, brewed from grains that no longer grow in abundance. Some tablets list dozens of beer varieties, each with specific purposes: ritual, labor, healing, sleep. Beer is medicine. Beer is prayer. The taste would have been sour, earthy, alive. In ancient China, fermented pastes made from soybeans, fish, and grains predate written history. Some were buried underground and aged for years. These were not condiments in the modern sense. They were foundations of entire cuisines. When dynasties fell, recipes vanished with them. And sometimes, fermentation crossed into mystery. There are persistent accounts of drinks consumed only once in a lifetime. Initiation brews prepared for rites of passage. Recipes known only to elders. Ingredients gathered at specific times of year, under specific celestial alignments. Were these symbolic or biochemical? Modern researchers have identified mild psychoactive effects in certain fermented plants. Subtle alterations of mood, warmth, calmness, vivid dreams. Not intoxication, but transformation. This raises one of the more controversial theories in culinary history: that some extinct cuisines were deliberately designed to alter consciousness in gentle, controlled ways. Not to escape reality, but to deepen engagement with it. If this knowledge existed, it was closely guarded. And when societies collapsed, it disappeared quietly. Moving west, the Roman world presents a paradox. We know a great deal about Roman food, yet still understand very little about how it truly tasted. Garum, the infamous fermented fish sauce, is often described as overpowering or foul. But ancient writers speak of it with reverence. High-quality garum was expensive, traded across the empire, and used sparingly. Modern recreations suggest something surprising. Umami-rich, complex, not unlike certain Asian fish sauces. But even the best recreations lack something essential: time. Ancient garum fermented under Mediterranean sun, in specific climates, using fish species that are now rare or extinct. Salt composition differed. Microbial cultures differed. The result would have been unique to its place and era. The same is true for bread. Ancient grains like emmer, einkorn, and spelt behaved differently in dough. Wild yeasts varied by region. Baking was often done in communal ovens, where flavors mingled across households. Bread tasted like community. When industrial milling refined flour and standardized yeast, those regional identities faded. In Mesoamerica, cacao was not sweet. It was bitter, spiced with chili, flowers, and sometimes maize. Consumed as a drink, it was associated with gods, royalty, and sacrifice. Cacao beverages were thick, foamy, intensely flavored. The foam itself was prized, poured carefully from height to aerate the liquid. Sugar came much later. What we now call chocolate would have been unrecognizable to the civilizations that revered cacao. This pattern repeats again and again. Modern versions are echoes. There are also foods that may never be identified at all. Ancient texts reference plants with no surviving equivalents. Fruits described as glowing. Roots that induced warmth in winter. Leaves eaten only during eclipses. Are these metaphors? Or clues to ingredients lost before science could name them? Some botanists believe certain plants were domesticated, then vanished due to climate shifts or overharvesting. Without seeds preserved, they left no trace. Their flavors died with them. And then there are the conspiracy theories. Some suggest that powerful ancient elites deliberately restricted certain foods. That ingredients associated with heightened awareness were reserved for priesthoods or rulers. That culinary knowledge was classified. When empires fell, these secrets were destroyed intentionally. Others believe lost cuisines are not entirely lost, that fragments survive in isolated communities, disguised as folk recipes, misunderstood traditions, or peasant food. Perhaps some ancient flavors are still eaten unknowingly. This idea is strangely comforting. That extinction is not always complete. That taste can hide. As the hours pass in this story, we begin to understand that food history is not about recipes. It is about relationships between humans and land, between memory and survival. When a civilization disappears, its flavors do not simply vanish. They dissolve into soil, into descendants, into silence. And silence is not emptiness. It is rest. As we move closer to the final stretch of our journey, we'll reflect on whether humanity is still losing flavors today, and what it means to preserve taste in a world that moves faster than memory. For now, let your breathing slow. Let the ancient kitchens fade into darkness. The fires dim. The pots cool. Let us drift into the final hours of this quiet feast, where endings and beginnings share the same table. As civilizations aged, their foods changed with them. What began as ritual slowly became routine. What was once sacred became practical. And eventually, what was practical became forgotten. Many of the last flavors of extinct civilizations were not grand or ceremonial. They were simple. Thin porridges eaten by the elderly. Soft breads soaked in broth. Herbs chewed slowly at dusk. These were the foods of survival, not celebration. And because they were ordinary, they were rarely recorded. History remembers banquets. It forgets suppers. Archaeologists can reconstruct feasts from bones and vessels, but the daily meals, the true diet of humanity, slip through the cracks of time. This creates a quiet illusion that ancient people ate dramatically differently than we do. In reality, they worried about the same things. What will feed us tomorrow? What will help us sleep? What will keep the children healthy? Many extinct civilizations relied heavily on what we would now call foraged flavor. Leaves, barks, resins, flowers, and insects added complexity to otherwise plain foods. These ingredients rarely leave archaeological traces, yet they likely define the taste of entire regions. In the Indus Valley, for example, spice residues suggest a cuisine far more aromatic than once believed. Turmeric, ginger, and garlic were likely combined in ways that predate modern recipes by thousands of years. But ratios are lost. Techniques are lost. Intent is lost. A dish is more than its ingredients. It is timing. Memory. This is where modern reconstructions inevitably fail. We can imitate structure but not context. And context is flavor. One of the most fascinating modern discoveries comes from residue analysis of ancient pots. Scientists have detected traces of dairy mixed with plants that should not coexist geographically. This suggests trade routes not just for luxury items but for taste. Flavor was worth moving mountains for. Salt traveled enormous distances. So did honey, spices, and dried fish. Entire economies were built on preserving taste across time and space. Which leads to a difficult question. Why did we stop valuing flavor this way? The answer may lie in abundance. When food became easier to produce, it became easier to forget. Standardization replaced regional nuance. Efficiency replaced patience. Fermentation was shortened. Aging was rushed. Bitterness was removed. What remained was sweetness, softness, predictability. Not bad, but quieter. Some historians believe we are living through a second extinction of flavor. One happening slowly, quietly, without drama. Ancient grains replaced by uniform varieties. Wild yeasts replaced by packaged ones. Local plants replaced by global imports. Each change makes food more consistent. And consistency erases memory. Yet there is hope. Across the world, small groups are attempting revival. Not exact recreations, that may be impossible, but echoes. Bakers working with ancient grains. Brewers reviving sour Alash. Chefs fermenting without clocks or thermometers. They are not chasing novelty. They are chasing depth. And perhaps that is the final lesson extinct cuisines leave us. That food was once a conversation with time. You planted knowing you might not harvest. You fermented knowing you might not taste. You cooked knowing memory mattered more than speed. As we close this long journey, imagine one final table. No gold, no excess. Just a bowl of something warm. Something slightly sour. Something unfamiliar but comforting. A flavor you cannot name. That is how most extinct civilizations ended, not with spectacle but with quiet meals and familiar hands. And in that sense their food is not truly lost. It is resting. Thank you for spending this time with History for Sleep. If these forgotten flavors stirred something in you, consider subscribing, and join us again as we wander softly through humanity's long memory. For now, let the kitchen go dark. Let the fire cool. And let history fade into sleep. Crescent Moon.